What if I told you you would never need to buy commercial fertilizer ever again? Well, with just a few tips and tricks that I'm about to show you, that is totally possible. So if that's something that interests you, stick around. Well, the first thing I'd do is get me some Comfrey. That's pretty easy to come by. You can purchase seeds, and you can buy root cuttings. About 3 years ago, I grew some Comfrey from seed, and I actually got about 5 plants. From them 5 plants, I took root cuttings, just little fragments of the root, and I was able to turn those 4 plants into about 100. Now every tree, fruit tree or otherwise, this is a mimosa, has at least one Comfrey plant underneath it. Now I plant them under every tree for a few different reasons. One of them being it has a crazy taproot that goes down, some of them 10-12 feet in the ground, which helps the tree itself navigate its roots deeper to make its root system stronger. Because its roots go down so far, it's a dynamic accumulator. It goes way down into the ground and pulls up all these micronutrients that aren't available at the top of the soil. So under each tree I have 1 or 2 Comfrey plants for the reason that it's close to where I need it to be. One of the reasons that I like growing them right underneath the trees, the closer to where I need them, because one of the ways that you can utilize Comfrey as a fertilizer is just simply chop and drop it. Take a tool, it can be a sharp knife. This is my Hori. It's one of the best garden tools you could ever have. It's got a little serrated side on it. I just like to take them, cut them off right at the base, and simply, that's the chop part, and then simply lay it on the ground all over the place. This will break down and melt eventually. It's kind of a mulch, and it's a fertilizer. As this breaks down, the rain hits it, water it in, that'll all seep down into the root system of the tree, and it'll feed it for a long time. Another way to use Comfrey is to make a Comfrey Tee. It's super easy. You do the chop part, and you fill up I just use 5-gallon buckets. So I got 5-gallon buckets of Comfrey Tee littered all over the place. You just fill up a 5-gallon bucket with Comfrey, fill it up with water, put a lid on it, and let it sit for, I usually let it sit for about 2 weeks before I use it, but this is what it looks like. Now I will warn you, Comfrey Tee smells absolutely horrible, but it's so good for your plants. And it also looks disgusting. But here's what Comfrey Tee looks like after 2 weeks. It looks disgusting, but it works. Everybody's got a slightly different opinion on how you use Comfrey Tee. Some say to dilute it quite a bit before you use it. If I'm using a 2-gallon waterer, I'll take a solo cup and fill that up about 4 times into the waterer, and then fill the rest up with water. And for some things, I don't dilute it at all, like bigger fruit trees and whatnot, bigger established plants, I just dump the 5-gallon bucket, some of it right onto the roots. Now, another way you can get away without buying fertilizer is to make your own compost, or in this case, chicken compost. So in this chicken run here, well, number one, the ladies make their own fertilizer. They pee and poop all over all this stuff, which pretty much turns it into compost by itself. But I go one step further. I fill this whole thing up with lots of leaves and wood chips and weeds and lots of food scraps and stuff. They stir it up, peck through it, eat what they want, scratch it up, till it under, and it turns it into amazing compost. You can just take this and use it. I would advise you to let it sit for a couple of days because chicken manure is very high in nitrogen and it can burn some plants. But occasionally I'll just take some 5-gallon buckets of this stuff out of here and spread it around an area close to the plants but not touching them, just so they can get some of them nutrients. But again, every 3 or 4 months I clean out the coop itself. All them pine shavings and all the manure they left behind in there comes out to here. I let them scratch around in that for a day or two, and then I will take almost all of this stuff out, shovel full into a wheelbarrow, and then I'll put it in a pile, and then I will fill this all back up again from scratch with lots and lots of leaves and wood chips and pine needles and weeds, whatever I can find. And then I just keep adding it for a couple of months. Then I just let the ladies do all the work, and I get tons of fresh compost every couple of months. So there are definitely ways you can get around not having to buy commercial fertilizer. I hope you found that somewhat informational. And if you did, go ahead and check out this playlist right here. Goes over a whole bunch of different gardening how-tos, tips, and tricks. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Cheers.